Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Jasodhanandana Vrajajanandana Jasodhanandana Vrajajanandana Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Enthusiastic group, I must say. Now, I have the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that there are a number of new people that have been gathering each week as time passes. So there are some devotees that are here and have been practicing Krishna consciousness for some time, quite some time. And there's some newer people. I'm looking for some audience response. Would you like to know a secret?
Yes.
I can't tell you it's a secret. But I'll tell you anyway. One of the things that when I have an audience that is new and I'm told there's some new people, I look around to see how many people know the words to Jaya Radha Madhava. And the people that are really new, they don't know Jai Radha Madhava yet. Of course, it's really simple, Jai Radha Madhava. It's like anyone can repeat Jai Radha Madhava. Kunja Vihari. But most of the people here either have a good ear and you can say back Jai Radha Madhava, or you've been around long enough that you learned Jai Radha Madhava. So you're not all that new. But I understand then also, because although new, there's some enthusiasm. Now that you've gotten an introduction to Krishna consciousness, it's, what's next? What's the next level for us that have been around for 48 years, like me? "48 years is probably older than some of you, many of you in the room. May you all practice Krishna consciousness for 48 years. And then some. We recently, the GBC Organization Development Committee, and a number of people representing, conducted the International Leadership Sangha. Did any of you hear about that? Did you attend it? Nice, huh? Just a little sharing, that's what this session is. It's warming up and getting to know one another and a feel for. Our International Society for Krishna Consciousness is truly international, and those who attended it, like me, got a deeper feeling of the internationalness of our international society. There were 130 devotees from China. Only a handful spoke English, and they were the translators for the others. And Russia, of course, and Africa, and South America, and translators for those groups of people, and different colors, different cultures, different ways of dressing, although generally Vaishnava attire, but your experience is Bangalore. And my experience is different places in the world, but even I go throughout different parts of the world. And I was moved, I was impressed. It was visual and vibrant. This is an international organization. I mean, some of the persons in this room I met when they had their occupation in America. Well, they got transferred over here in India, and now they're over here in India. Or, you know, some people that are here and then they're off in Singapore, and then somebody else is, you know, the job market is global because companies are often global. Anyway, the world is global and our society is global. And it's very important. I mentioned, you know, may you be around for 48 years or more. If you add 48 years to 2018, you'll reach ISKCON 100. How many were around for observing ISKCON 50? You know, the Golden Jubilee, ISKCON had been around since 1966 to 2016. 50 years. And in the world, it's a milestone. It marks, here's an organization that has endured 50 years. So it's not just the one who started the organization, the leader, in our case, the founder Acharya, a charismatic person that got a group of people to go, yeah, let's go that direction. But he's gone, and the next generation keeps it going for some time. It's not so often that it lasts. But if it's around for 50 years, then it's likely to last and endure longer. Now, the presentation that I made at the ILS had to do with the importance of reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So it's on topic that I was at. It's not the only part, but it's a significant part of what I was asked to speak about. What's next? Well, be steady in Krishna consciousness so that you can experience and be part of making it happen ISKCON 100. And one of the ways, we'll say it positively and say it negatively. One of the ways to help, a significant way to help, is carefully and systematically read Prabhupada's books. I'll say it negatively. There's one way to be sure. There's maybe other things. But one way to be sure there won't be ISKCON 100, and that is don't study Prabhupada's books. Guaranteed. Because this organization development committee studied what a particular member who was like a PhD caliber brain from Russia, or Krishna Prabhu, did his little PhD thesis on what is it about organizations that help them survive, what can be done, what has happened historically for organizations that didn't. 3 years of study, and he did a super job. And those that adhere to the principle of taking the founders' teachings, Muhammad, Abraham from the Jewish tradition, and other traditions, Christ, and then divisions of those organizations, religious organizations. Some Christian groups faded and some didn't. And what made it successful? A strong emphasis on the teachings of the founder. So, that's the next level. That's one important element, is not just read, but carefully. I don't get tired of saying this. The last 2 classes I gave was honestly reaching the same point of emphasis. Carefully read Prabhupada's books. Not for sake of information. I understand this is an area that is an IT hub for Bangalore. Yes? Yes? So a lot of you are probably IT people, so you know a lot about information technology. Yes? Maybe it was 9 years ago, something like that. There was a national conference of educators in Delhi, national, and there was concern that education isn't going in a good direction. And so the keynote speaker said, I wasn't there, but I was told by people who were educators that were there, education in India today can be summarized in 5 words. Information, 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 no transformation. And the conclusion of that several-day conference was the central government was going to offer grants to those who came up with curriculum to help teach character development or value education, they called it. And because real education means character development. When our founder Acharya started schools, Gurukulas, there was of course discussion about curriculum. And keeping it simple, it was much less important to him, not zero, but much less important to him about elements of curriculum that are academic to character development. And he told the story. I'm speaking what's the next for us. And what's next is developing Vaishnava qualities. Taking the teachings, Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti, Sadhava. The next stage is developing the qualities of the message that you read. Read it, and then bring it inside, and be it. Be examples of what. So, Prabhupada told this story. He was, at one time, he was a householder. And as a householder, he had a business. It was a pharmaceutical business. And he had a friend who was an industrialist. I don't know exactly how it was connected to Prabhupada's life. Maybe they're just for friends. But Prabhupada described that he was visiting the man at a time when he was interviewing two persons who were potential candidates to oversee a big section of his industry. I don't know, factory or something, whatever it was. Keeping it short, the first person came in, had a resume that was much less than the second person that came in, and he answered the questions the interviewer asked, the industrialist asked, reasonably well, Prabhupada's description. And he was a very polite person, and he left. The second person, big credential, highly educated, really good in his speech, and the interview was finished, and Prabhupada asked him, which one did you decide on? He said, the first one. And Prabhupada questioned him, but the second one had so much more credential. And the industrialist said, but the first one, he closed the door. And the second one, he left the door open. He didn't elaborate, but you're from India, you know what that means. And the second one was a little proud. The first one, I feel I can train. He has sufficient, and he's humble enough and of a character that I feel I can train him. I want to work with this man. The other man might be more difficult to train. He already thinks he's too smart for everybody. Character. And real education is not what you know, it's who you are. Information is not a 0, but it's not a 10. And those of you that work in IT facilities, one of the things that makes it unpleasant is somebody that's in a higher position that has bad character. I don't know because I don't work in an IT place, but I hear it abundantly. And even if your positioning isn't, super fantastic, if the work environment is super fantastic, persons like that. They want to stay there. They want to get there. I can give other examples. I'll give one other example. I forget the name. There's a researcher along with a group of research economics. They were given a grant person to study and did research on the Fortune 500, Fortune 500 companies. The book is called From Good to Great. Have any of you read that or heard of that book, From Good to Great? So keeping it really simple, again, for the sake of time. One of the elements that he found that after some number, whatever the number, 6, 7 years, the ones that were good, that became great, what made them great was the leader of that organization. And the two characteristics of the leader of that organization that became great, they found, was he was humble, and he was compassionate. That is to say, what was driving him to be great was he wanted to do that which was going to be beneficial for others. Far out. I mean, what CEO is thinking of beside the profit margin? But that's great. And devotees of the Lord are meant to be great. Yad acharati shreshtas tatat eve tarorjana. Whatever the shreshtas, whatever the great persons within society do, eve tara. The Arjuna, the people in general, follow the great. So the next level is to become, in a Krishna conscious sense, not in a worldly sense, a person of character. Those of you that are new, or on the newer side in general, one of the things that becomes attractive about the Sangha, coming into the Sangha of devotees, is the qualities of the devotees. Say it negatively. One of the things that's a turn-off is you come and the qualities of the people that you meet are people you just don't want to have anything to do with, quality-wise. What's the next level? Character development, or develop the qualities of a Vaishnava. And the qualities of a Vaishnava, one of the ways is take the message and bring it inside and live it. It's very easy. Osmosis, It's just, you absorb yourself in the Shravanam Kirtanam process, and it goes in. Smaranam. Smaranam doesn't just mean sloka memorization and recitation. That's one kind of smarana, but the meaning is that which is already inside, by the process of hearing and chanting, it awakens. Like, I am Krishna's eternal servant. That's who I am. That's who I am. There may be other temporary identities that I take on. I'm a mother. But then my children grow up. I'm still a mother, but I'm not mothering in the same way that when the children were small. Or I'm a student. But after some time, you're not going to be a student. You're going to be an IT guy, whatever you're going to be. Our roles in life are temporary. I've been a devotee for 48 years. And the titles that I've had in the course of being the devotee for those 48 years is a whole bunch. That's not who I am. I want to read something from Chaitanya Charitamrita. But before I do that, I'll just pardon me while I share something personal to illustrate. I became a devotee straight from medical school to Hare Krishna temple. And the first service that was given to me was washing pots. And I was a little proud. College students have this tendency to think they're smart. I was a Dean's List student, accepted medical school, and I was on my track for a, career-wise, a nice career. And I joined the Hare Krishna temple, and they had me washing pots. And I was thinking, don't they know? They didn't say it, but I was thinking, don't they know I can do so much more than stand here and wash pots? My life is meant for something more than washing pots. And they had me do it for a whole month. It wasn't a fill-in, it was like, my occupation was washing pots. Making a long story, well, I'll make a little bit longer. Where the pot sink was, this was a rented building, a wood frame house in Boston. And the Brahmachari ashram came down the stairs, turn the corner, and there's the pot sink, and then there's where you go out the door to go on Sankirtan with the Harinam Sankirtan band and Kartals and Mridanga and all the happy brahmacharis, and they pat me on the back saying, "You're doing such a good job." They said, quote, Prabhupada said, when you wash the pots, for Krishna, you're cleansing your heart. And being a educated college student, I was thinking, I didn't say it, I was thinking, oh yeah? Then why aren't you standing right next to me and helping me? I didn't say it. And then I started letting the message go inside. I stopped being rebellious and proud and I just took the message and took Prabhupada's message and let it go in my heart. And the purpose of this is to cleanse my heart. I took it seriously. The message went into my heart. Next, somebody said, you're doing such a nice job. Prabhupada said you should clean the pots so carefully, so nicely, you can see yourself in the bottom of the pot. Now I thought the message was where the flame goes. And at that time, the Hare Krishna movement didn't have much money, so we had used pots, and they were all burnt and black and bad on the bottom. So I took it to heart. I scrubbed the pots, the bottom of the pots, so carefully that on every pot you could see your face in not where the food goes, but where the flame goes at the bottom. And then somebody tapped me on the shoulder. It's a month later, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, guess what? We have somebody else that's going to wash the pots. You can come on with us on Sankirtan. And a little light went on that said, Krishna wanted humility and the mood of service. That's what Krishna wanted. Not that I get what I want to do because I get what I want to do. I joined the Hare Krishna movement to get what I want to do. I joined the Hare Krishna movement to give my heart to Krishna. Krishna wanted my heart. And I gave it, not just the activity, but I gave my heart. It was an important lesson. Give your heart to Krishna. And it's not just a behavior. It's at the heart level. And something that assists is Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Rinanti. Even if you're not particularly pious, this is South India, so people are more pious than other parts of the world. But the atmosphere in which we all grew up is not an atmosphere of piety, it's an atmosphere of Rajas and Tamas. I've noticed a fair amount of Rajas and Tamas in Bangalore, not a place of sattva. Even its Punya Bhumi is Rajas and Tamas. And how do we come free from that? There's Shravanam Kirtanam. Then the awakening of our natural position, Smaranam. Just this morning, in the temple, the Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada was saying in the purport, it's Devahuti's achieving perfection, following the instructions of Pima. She heard, she's following. And she approached this stage of dhyan. Prabhupada explains, dhyan, chapter 6, Bhagavad Gita, is the third stage of bhakti. Prabhupada says like this, first stage, Shravanam. Second stage, Kirtanam. Third stage, Smaranam. Dhyan is Smaranam. It's the third stage and there's 6 more stages of bhakti. But you don't get to the other 6 until you pass number 3. Your mind goes to Krishna. And how does your mind go to Krishna? With gratitude for the kindness that He's done for each one of us, myself included, and yourselves included, to take you from Rajas and Tamas and take you to Goloka. With gratitude. Then that's transformation. It's way beyond information. I hope you catch the theme of what I'm trying to share here. That's the next level. And then when you do the other activities that are, quote, next level activities, then it's attractive. When you extend Krishna consciousness to others, the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now I'm going to read this passage from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya, who appeared in this world, in one sense to give the Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma means the congregational chanting of the holy name. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyatha. Fantastic. Many of you know the verse already. When Nimai Pandit, who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was a young man, born in a Brahmana family, he was a teacher, he was Brahmin, teacher of grammar. And he was super scholar, without the details. And then he received initiation from Ishvara Puri. And from the time he received initiation into the chanting of the holy name, his whole life completely transformed. It is said that when he received initiation, he went to Gaya ostensibly for the purpose of performing Shraddha ceremony for his departed father. But with Leela-wise, it was to receive initiation from Ishvara Puri. There's a series of events that led up to it. But after receiving the holy name, his spiritual master, Ishvara Puri, instructed him in this one verse every day for 7 days. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama. That same verse. The singular importance of chanting. Because what it is that chanting does, when done properly, is it awakens the mood, the fundamental mood of being in service to Krishna. It's a prayer to Krishna for service. It's awakening of the service mood. Krishna, I am meant for your service. Open-ended, whether it's pot washing, or going on Sankirtan, or thising or thating. Orientation from the material way of life is quite different. Being a servant is not considered very good. It's demeaning. One of our sannyasis, I won't give his name, when he started taking part in Krishna consciousness, he wrote to his father about joining Krishna consciousness. And at the end he wrote, your servant. And his father wrote back, what? So many years of college education and good training, and you calling yourself servant? This is not right. What are you learning? And he wrote back, explained to his father, and said, actually along with other things, actually I shouldn't have said your servant, I should have said the servant of the servant of the servant. From the heart. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give that gift, the dormant consciousness of our eternal position as Krishna's servant. So we are. We have this I didn't mention. A young boy, a student. Or a young girl, but a student. I have my mommy and my daddy, and we do these things at home. I have my friends. So we have our different stages of life and our different likings and activities. Eternally, beyond temporary, who are we? Take away the veneer, and who are we? We don't ask that question. We should be asking that question. And this process of Krishna consciousness awakens the answer. Even if you're not asking, it helps. It goes quicker if you're asking the question. The inquisitive spirit. Jigyasu, Brahma Jigyasu, Atata Brahma Jigyasa, Vedanta, Atata Brahma Jigyasa. This human form of life is meant, Ataha, now, after achieving this human form of life. This is the time for asking that question. What is the absolute truth? What does everything rest upon? And that says something about who we are, because we're from that, whatever that is. So Krishna is the source of everything. I'm from Krishna. I'm meant for Krishna's service. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave that process, the Shravanam Kirtanam process, to awaken that consciousness. And then the next level is, after bringing it in, and developing the character, the quality that represents that message, you share it with others. And that's the same kirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Give me about 30 seconds and I'll find this reference. This is from Adi Lila chapter 7. And it's a description of the Panchatattva. How many of you have been to Mayapur? Okay. And would you like to know that there was an announcement today before the assembly of all the devotees, Ambarish, Alfred Ford, and the devotee who's working closely with him to help in the fundraising, and Sanpuj, all three of them, made a pledge. We will open the Temple of Vedic Planetarium in the year 2022. That's 4 years from now. To mark it, around the Gorpurnim, this is 19, 20, 21, 22, TOVP will open. And when that happens, Panchatattva is going to move, Radha Madhava and the Ashtasakis are going to move, and Lord Sringadev is going to move. Now, they may not have the planetarium portion fully operating. They may or may not, depends on a lot of factors. Funding is a big one. But they're serious. They made a pledge, like a vow, in the Dham. They're going to have to live up to it now. 4 years. So Panchatattva is going to move. And the section that I'm reading from is describing the Panchatattva. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Adadhar, and Srivas. Hari Gaura. Those are the Panchatattva. And the internal devotees or potencies are all eternal associates in the pastimes of the Lord. Only with them does the Lord advent to propound the Sankirtan movement. Only with them does the Lord taste the mellow of conjugal love. And only with them does he distribute this love of God to people in general. The characteristics of Krishna are understood to be a storehouse of transcendental love. Although that storehouse of love certainly came with Krishna when he was present, it was sealed. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with his associates of the Panchatattva, they broke open the seal and plundered the storehouse to taste transcendental love of Krishna. the more they tasted it, the more their thirst for it grew. Sri Panchatattva themselves danced again and again, and thus made it easier to drink the nectarian love of Godhead. They danced, cried, laughed, and chanted like madmen. In this way, they distributed love of Godhead. In distributing love of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates did not consider who was a fit candidate and who was not, nor where such distribution should or should not take place. They made no conditions. Wherever they got the opportunity, the members of the Panchatattva distributed love of Godhead. Although the members of the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. The flood of love of God had swelled in all directions, and thus young men, old men, women, and children were immersed in that inundation. The Krishna consciousness movement, this is a translation, the Sangha of Vaishnavas, will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one is a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. And the 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowned in love of Godhead, and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed. They all became exceedingly happy. The more the 5 members of Panchatattva cause the rains of love of Godhead to fall, the more the inundation increases and spreads all over the world. Then he invited others. I only have 2 hands. Help me distribute the contents of love of God. So that's the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're the next level after Shinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti. Then transformation of heart. You become that message. You become a perambulatory Bhagavad Gita. You not only can press the button and say the verse, but you have the character that the verse speaks. That's powerful. That's powerful. And then as an instrument, not as a karta, not as a doer, but as a nimitta, an instrument of the will of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you assist him. Just like this center, my understanding of what this center is, that's what it is. Somebody, I think you know who the somebody is, received, and they spoke, and they brought the message inside, and then they understood Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants this. Let me be an instrument. Let me assist that mission. And so now many persons are able to come and take association and take prasadam. Prasadam is nice too. And kirtan. And I mean, look at the books. You don't have a place of storage, so it's in your living room. Fantastic. And then the books are meant for distribution. Oh, they're also meant for reading. And collectively, many hands make light work. You've heard that phrase. One of the persons I met for the first time in my 48 years of being a Hare Krishna devotee was a devotee from England, from the UK, never met before. And this discussion took place, this and that, and it turns out he's the book distribution minister for the UK, and he's been invited, he was sharing with me, to go to France. So it's like, because he's gifted at encouraging people to increase book distribution. So they invited him over there and so forth. He shared with me that he came up with this idea of 50-50 during the 50-year celebration. Did you hear about that over here in Bangalore? 50-50? It was everybody. It was an open invitation in the UK, and it certainly went to America, because everywhere I went I was promoting it. During this 50th anniversary of ISKCON, who would like to make a pledge? Now it's 2 years later, but who would like to make a pledge that in the course of 1 year, the whole year, I'll distribute 50 books? 50-50. So it was like a, website, and I'll sign up. And people took it seriously. And you add up, the numbers, that's a big sales force. And if it was 50 books times however many, it's a lot of books. And then in addition to distributing the books, encouraging people to read the books. This is another next level item that, some of you may wish to consider volunteering for. I like the idea, someone might say, of after people receive the books, follow up and ask them, how you doing? Are you able to read the book? I'm a fan of book distribution, so take that into consideration as I'm speaking. As a brahmachari, something that I did, because it's something that Prabhupada, it's a foundational element of what Hare Krishna people do. They help distribute the contents of the storehouse of love of God. I want to say too many things, and I don't want to disturb your mind with too much talking. I was going to say 2 things out of the 15 things I want to say. Sharing from my heart. I have a great sense of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada for the gift of his literature. I shared this as part of my presentation at the ILS. Yesterday evening at the program, I shared it at that program. There's an image of Srila Prabhupada at night with a little lamp over his large desk, creating the Bhaktivedanta purports. And that image means a lot to me, so I'll share with you what it means to me. Once upon a time I was young. Maybe, I was 22 years old, and I was temple commander in our temple in New York, and Prabhupada was visiting. We, at that time, had 150 devotees living in the temple, and when Prabhupada came, it was like 350. Just, to accommodate everybody that came to be with Prabhupada, and he stayed for a week. And I was temple commander. Now, there wasn't any job description, nor training or anything. It was just an understanding. Temple commander means if something needs to get done, you make sure it gets done. And if you can't find somebody to do it, you have to do it yourself. That's it. That was the job description, unwritten. So when Prabhupada came, one of the services that had to get done was to protect his quarters. And it was really easy to get somebody to guard the entrance that was between the temple building, and it was a double brownstone, 2 rented properties next to each other. And there was a doorway between one and the other, and you get somebody to stand there and say, no, you can't enter. Unless it was told by the servant, Prabhupada's servant, when so-and-so comes, let him in, Prabhupada wanted to see him. Then it was, okay, come on in. Oh, Jai and Vijay. Real easy. And then even at night, because the door from the temple side into Prabhupada's quarters opened into Prabhupada's quarters, so someone could just roll out their sleeping bag, put their head against the door, and go to sleep. And anybody that tried to get in, they could lock the door, but if somehow they tried to get in, they'd bang their head and they would wake them up. So it was easy to get somebody to do that. But there was another entrance, and that was the back. Because there was a garden area behind the building, and then the boundary wall. A tall one, 10-foot boundary wall. But this was New York, Brooklyn. And thieves climb walls and break in and steal stuff. And we didn't want Prabhupada to be in danger. So somebody had to guard the back area. And during the day that was easy. At night it wasn't easy. So the temple commander had to do it. But I liked it because I got to watch Prabhupada, what he did in the dead of night while everyone was. Prabhupada was up. At roughly 9 or so, Prabhupada went to the front room, turned on the light, sat with the harmonium, sang bhajans, entered into the mood of Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. 15-20 minutes, light went out. He went to his room, the light went out, and I assume he took rest. 9:20 or so. Around 11:45, 12 o'clock, his light went on. 2 plus a little bit more than 2 hours. Now this is a 70-year-old with a body that was, I found out later from Hari Sori Prabhu. One kidney didn't work at all, the other kidney was half working. And there were other things wrong with his body. Those of you that are old or have relatives that are getting old, the body doesn't work so well. Prabhupada was transcendental, so the body doesn't work so well. Before midnight, he's up. The light goes on, went into the bathroom, did whatever he had to do, came out, turned a little lamp on at his desk, and then these giant, I was assuming they're commentaries of the Acharyas, it opened up the book. Really big books, the old style big books. Then he'd run his finger across the page of the different commentaries, and then dictate the Bhaktivedanta purport from 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock every morning for that whole week that I was there. And he had just come from some faraway place and going up next to next faraway place. He was giving, according to the language of Srimad Bhagavatam, he was giving a transcendental boat to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, but when getting to the other side, he left the boat over on this side. Out of compassion for people he didn't even know, like you and me. Every night. I really liked that service. It's one of my favorite services during the period I was the temple commander during that visit of Srila Prabhupada. Because I saw how he gave himself to the world. He knew his book to be translated to so many languages. He was giving himself, and through the captain of the boat and the boat that crossed the ocean of nescience, in the language of the Bhagavatam, the fierce ocean of nescience. Not a nice place, like the roads in Bangalore. Excuse me. Or the traffic. It's not it's a gift. And we can receive it, Grinanti, and we can give it. He wanted that. For the welfare of society, he wanted the storehouse of love of Godhead to be amply, without discrimination, qualified and unqualified. It's not an easy service, it's a humbling service. It's good to the heart to have a humble heart. And do with the right reason, right purpose. And it's not quantity is not the essence. It's giving from your heart that's the essence. That's powerful. It's powerful purification. It's very, very attractive. So I feel free to speak like this because I see all these books and I understand it means it's for distribution. And so I'm feeling, I'm not out of my limits to encourage book distribution. And the other forms of outreach activity, and then following up on people that receive the books. Are you reading the books? I spoke when I was in Mayapur attending the ILS with a newly appointed GBC member for Hungary named Radhakrishna. Radhakrishna Prabhu said in Budapest, which is very near their farm community, they have 6 devotees. Their only full-time dedicated service is following up with people on the books that are distributed. And at the farm, they have 7. That's all they do. And they may also do, some occasional deity worship or something like that. They may stop and take a shot or something like that. But that's the service. Following up. That's the next level. Distributing the books and how are you doing? Are you able to read the book? Are you able to understand the book? Do you have any questions? How's it going? Relationships with people that show they've identified. I have an interest in spiritual knowledge. I'm sure there's, multi-millions of such people in Bangalore that have an interest in spiritual knowledge, and we're few compared. But if we work with those people that have some interest, I'm just giving some ideas. And the opportunity for service is abundant. And you all have careers, and you have now, many of you, most of you probably is sadhana, and you have busy lives. What can we do? Something that assists in having received this wonderful gift and taking the gift in such a way that it brings about a transformation. Then participate in sharing that gift, the storehouse of love of God, upon tasting the contents. It makes one very happy, and you have something that makes you happy. It's very natural to want to share with other people. Not in a I'm going to help you out kind of way, but in a sharing kind of way, caring and sharing kind of way. That's the next level. Humble beginnings. A rented space on the 3rd floor of a commercial area. Nice kitchen space upstairs. A community of devotees coming together that are professionals of, probably somewhat similar professions. Work together, and one of the strongest centers in America is in Silicon Valley. You know where Silicon Valley is, because you're IT people. It's San Jose. They call it ISV, ISKCON Silicon Valley. But it also stands for Individual, Spontaneous, and Voluntary. It's a letter that Prabhupada wrote to the temple president of Los Angeles. Good managers are always facing fresh challenges before others. So I'm making this challenge to all of you. It may not be a fresh challenge, you may have already considered. But think of ways that whatever it is that you have received, 2 things. Whatever it is that you receive, you bring it inside. Character transformation. You know the information program, character transformation program. Consciously cultivate the qualities of the message that you have been receiving through Prabhupada's writings. Second, challenge, or fresh challenge. Consider the ways and the means, effective ways and means to help other people experience the same thing. How to do that is unlimited. Through technology, I'm sure you can figure out ways through technology to do that. Or in person, just on your way to. I know some people that on their way to work, they, from the parking lot or from the train or whatever it is that they do to get to work, just walking to the place of work, and the way back to the transportation, they distribute a book or 2 or 3. Just as a habit. I was in an airplane ride with Giri Raj Maharaj, some of you know from Bombay, who was the temple president. We're riding on an international, just by coincidence, same international flight. He was carrying, a stack of books. And he took the time during the flight to go, and offer people literature during the flight. He says, ISKCON sanyasi, but it's part of, it's in his blood. I said, wow, this is really nice. He said, it's something like that. It's in my blood. It's just what we do. It's our family business. You know that book by HH Romapada? And India knows what that means. In the West, people don't have that sense so much. But in India, you all know family. It's our family business. And as our founder in Charity Literature, make some effort in some form or another to participate in that. Receive and give. And you'll benefit and others will benefit simultaneously. I hope that was the right topic. Did I get the right topic? I should have asked it. Yes? Okay. Any comments or questions? Okay. I think you're all hungry and ready for prasadam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Anybody would like to ask any questions? Here is a mic. You can pass it around.
There's one question back there.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for sharing your hearts to all of us. Maharaj, my question is that today's discourse about character development, like what we hear, it should also go within. And so, I won't say we, I will say I. When I try to do this, I end up doing a mental imposition. Just basically like it remains in the mind, it's like pushing the mind to develop those qualities and then frustration and then gone. So may I request you to, can you please elaborate on developing those qualities, like step by step or something?
That's a whole other class. But I can say in a short form, these qualities are inherent. Vaishnava qualities are inherent. The qualities, the 26 qualities of a devotee are inherent within the soul. They're already there, just like within a seed. So supposing this had seeds, and they all look alike, but inside there's life. So supposing I take a seed out and germinate the seed, life starts to come out. And whatever that was within the seed, supposing it's a yellow marigold, then it's a yellow marigold, because it's already there. Maybe it's an orange one. Maybe it's one of those real big flower ones, maybe it's those little tiny flower ones, or whatever it is, it's already there. So the qualities of a Vaishnava are already there. And according, this is Rupa Goswami's teaching, there's 26 qualities of a devotee. There's many, but 26 primary qualities. One of them is Swarup Lakshana. The other 25 are Tatastha, marginal Lakshana characteristics. And the first one is Krishna Ekasharanam. To develop that one, go wash the pots for a while. Or whatever it takes. You know, engage in your household duties with the purpose that Krishna Ekasharanam. Go to the office, and you're in the office so that Krishna is pleased. You know, there's a whole lot kind of other set of paradigms and games going on in the workplace. Krishna should be pleased and cultivate it sincerely, deeply. Another answer, scriptural answer to your question. Read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, texts 8 through 12. Those are items of knowledge, because Arjuna asked Krishna, what's knowledge? What's the object of knowledge? So when he speaks of items of knowledge, it's character, it's quality. And the first paragraph, Prabhupada says, of these, one is primary. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini. It says Krishna Charana. It says the language is different, but taking full shelter and in the position of being Krishna's servant. From your heart, take on the position of my life is meant for pleasing Krishna. That's who I am. That's my mission in life. That's who I am. Then the second one, to get that one, is Guru Padashraya. No, excuse me, that's Rupa Goswami's language. Acharya Upasana. To the mercy of the spiritual master, to the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can come to the position of that Krishna shelter exclusively. Ananya, no other. Ananya yogina bhaktir avyabhicharini. So, cultivate that. And then the other qualities will become, because Krishna will then decorate you. He has a big warehouse, a qualities warehouse. And he'll decorate his devotee with nice qualities when he sees the devotee sincerely wants to please him. And he decorates that devotee with those qualities. And then the devotee comes before Krishna and Krishna smiles. Oh, you have such nice qualities. And the devotee thinks it's just you, Krishna. It's just your mercy, which is true. Is that too easy or too difficult? It's spiritual. That's the how-to. You give your heart to Krishna. Not sometimes. When it's in the head, it's sometimes. Then in Chanchala. Chanchala even of Krishna. So move from the head to the heart. There's something over here.
Hare Krishna. Every day I plan for reading Prabhupada books and hearing lectures. But sometimes it won't happen. But I want to read full intensity. How to full intensity and read Prabhupada regularly.
You start with what you just said, because Steady is preceded by unsteady. Nishtha is preceded by anishtata. So you make an effort, or say it stronger. You make a commitment. Let me ask you, do you brush your teeth every morning? Of course. Why?
Need.
Well, my mother taught me I brush my teeth every morning. It's oral hygiene. Of course I brush my teeth. Why are you asking me? Of course I brush my teeth every morning. So that's something that makes the body healthy, and not doing so makes, that besides bad breath, it's unhealthy. So we do things because it's good for us. On the body platform. And then, we can say other behaviors. When you receive something, do you say thank you? Yes, of course. Why? Because Mom taught me to say thank you. It's a behavior. But something that goes, a deeper commitment is not just a behavior because you understand it's good for me. That's mode of goodness. Mode of goodness is, I do something, this is Kapila Dev to Devahuti. Srimad Bhagavatam directly. Chapter 29, Canto 3. Activity in the mode of goodness is I do something because I know it is good for me. Like I don't lie because you just don't lie. You speak the truth because that's what you should do. It's the way to live your life. It's a mode of goodness principle. Mode of goodness principle with reading is, it's good for me. On the other side of that reading regularly, I'll be a better person. Not only I'll have more information, I'll know more. My heart will change. My bhakti will awaken, I know. At least I've been told, and I have faith in that source that said it. So I should do it. And once it's so, it takes commitment. It commit with the right purpose. And if it fails, then you make the commitment again. In fact, it's natural. Being attracted to Krishna is natural for the soul. The example given in Nectar Devotion is a child, a crawling child, has capacity within to walk. But when they start to walk, they take a half a step and they tumble. They make some sound and then get up again and try again. And mother and father hold their little hand and have them take 2 steps. And then after some time, the walking propensity comes out because it's already there. So what I'm sharing with you by this example, it's Nectar Devotion example. It's already there. The attraction for Krishna and hearing the message of Krishna and the glorification of Krishna, the qualities and teachings of Krishna. It's of the soul, it's natural. I'm in this diseased or unnatural condition. That's why it's a struggle. It's unsteady because of my disease. So I just thank you for being honest because it applies to probably a lot of people. They're just, you're being honest about it. So, when you tumble, you get up and take another step. And it's natural. With the understanding, it's natural. Not forced. It's good for me. And it's completely, from the spiritual position, a completely natural thing. Actually distributing the nectar of the storehouse of love of God is also, it's of the soul. Okay. Yes, another one.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. How to remain positive when going through negative situations in life?
Mind, huh? Because to say negative situations, that's a read of the mind. Isn't it?
Yes.
One man's food is another man's poison. misfortune can become good fortune. Depends on how you view it, and also patience. Isn't it?
Yes.
So, it depends on how you view the situation as whether it's, misfortune or a negative. It's the way that you regard the thing. It could be an opportunity. Depends on how you view the thing. You could give examples, and I could say, it depends on how you view the thing.
But how do you find this positivity when you suppose examples when you have a failed marriage or you have a job loss? How do you remain motivated to be positive?
It's not just. I'll go back. It's not just a positive orientation towards something that's negative. I'll try again. The frame of reference is seeing, positive, negative. When there are situations outside of your control, there's one thing that cannot be taken from you. This is like an adage of life. You have a freedom of choice how you're going to respond to that. Maybe the marriage that failed. Good for you. Now you'll be more careful next time if there's any kind of interaction. You're going to be more careful than the love marriage kind of thing, or whatever it was that caused it to fail, or that brought about the failure. It doesn't mean the situation. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. And who knows, maybe around the corner, there's a much better job opportunity than one that you lost. You don't know. But it's all I'm saying here is there's a freedom. The empowerment is having the freedom to choose how you're going to respond. And one way is to say, to put it into Krishna conscious perspective, one way is to say no to Krishna, another way is to say yes to Krishna. I'll share something. I think there's many ways to say the same thing, but I'll just do it this way. We have a farm community in Pennsylvania. You know the geography of the United States a little bit? A little bit? There's New York City way over there, and the next state over is New Jersey, and then there's Pennsylvania. So in the middle of Pennsylvania, near Penn State University, there's a farm community, Gitanagari. And every year we have, during the national holidays, we have some retreat gathering. So one year, the theme was Say Yes to Krishna. And everybody that attended got a Say Yes to Krishna button. So one of the exercises was a facilitated discussion, and somebody was standing at a flip chart, and the facilitator was saying, anybody would like to describe something that you don't like, or we'll say you use something that's negative in your life, something that disturbs you. You don't like it. And it started slow. But once everyone got into the mood, the place was laughing and laughing, and there was 7, 8 pages of flip charts of things we don't like. And then there was, the room was filled with laughter, and okay, that's good enough. We have 8 pages of things we don't like. Now, that's when we're saying no to Krishna. Now let's imagine, what would it be like if you said yes to Krishna? What would it look like? And so they did some role play, because one of the things, I wasn't there for this session, but husband and wife would get in a disagreement with one another. That was one of the things. So they sat in the front, and they were having this disagreement, like they commonly have in the house, about something. And it was an easy role play, and everyone was laughing. And then was the challenging, how do you say yes to Krishna with this dynamic? And then they did it enough times with all of, just at random, pick that one, that's really tough. Okay, let's do a role play. Who would like to come up and say no to Krishna, then say yes to Krishna? So, circumstances that come your way or mine in life, they may be unpleasant. When those things come, you have the option of saying yes to Krishna and embracing, not necessarily, oh, I love it, but you love Krishna, and how to say yes to Krishna given a circumstance that's outside of your control. And using your language again, negative. But the positive, using your language, is say yes to Krishna. That takes some, not just discipline, it takes some devotion. That I'm walking down the path of life, and sometimes it's, it's a sunny day. And sometimes it's a stormy day. Sometimes it's a stormy period. Sometimes a storm that doesn't seem to go away. Now, that's beyond my control, whether it's stormy or sunny. I have the option of choosing how I'm going to respond. That's my free will choice. And the first place you should look to is Krishna. And how can I be of service to Krishna in this circumstance? This is something that's easy to say, and when the circumstance is difficult, it's a little more challenging to follow. I'll share something with you. Presently, I'm going through a period of my life that's more difficult than any other period of my life. Honestly. So as I'm speaking, I'm thinking, how am I keeping my own words? How am I acting in integrity with my own words? You follow what I'm sharing with you right now? It's not easy. It's easy to say it. But it depends upon one's relationship with Krishna, your eagerness to be in your relationship with Krishna. Because that's it. That's happiness. That's energy. That's strength. That's empowerment. And no one can take that from you. Circumstance can't take that from you. The former wife can't take, the employer, life can't take that from you. No one can take that from you. Krishna won't take that from you. It's a freedom. And if in that freedom space, my life is meant for being pleasing to Krishna. How can I best please Krishna in this circumstance? You may not have the answer, but if you ask the question, you're more likely to get the answer than if you don't ask the question. You follow what I'm saying? And that's bhakti. Bhakti isn't just good times. Look at our great person, the Pandavas, and Prahlad Maharaj, and Dhruva Maharaj. Hardship for Dhruva Maharaj ended up being the path to perfection. That his motivation when he started off wasn't very high. But by the mercy of Narada, he got there. And his good character. Intrinsic good character. He was in a get-back mood. He wasn't in a good mood. Anyway. But he wanted Vishnu. The world is a world of duality, and sometimes. It's just the nature of the place. So now, how are you going to live your life given the place of duality? It's a choice that you can make. From bhakti choices, let me choose to be, let my life's existence be pleasing to Krishna. I don't know exactly how it looks, but that's what I want. And you turn to Krishna and say, Krishna, help me to respond to this circumstance in such ways pleasing to you. You may not have the answer, but ask the question. And there's strength. I'm speaking personally. in each of us. And the test that each of us have to endure is not beyond our capacity. Krishna doesn't do that. You follow what I'm saying by that one? What you're enduring may be, lesser than when you were younger. And when you're older, it may be greater. But Krishna doesn't give you something that will break you. If you're Krishna conscious, He'll help you. He'll hold your hand and help you. He's loving, like a loving father. He doesn't have to be asked, do you love me? He loves you. I'll end with this. One of our global communications minister is a Nuttama Prabhu in America. And one of the things that he feels, as an organization, what we need to do is associate with people of other organizations and not be cloistered in our own little world. People that are mature. So he was sharing with me, he's sharing with all of us. One of the recent conferences he went to, where it was like leaders of different organizations, hearing about the ISKCON perspective on things. And this was a Christian, high-ranking, I don't even know, person. Which denomination? Said, we always speak about how God loves you, but you're always speaking about how you should serve God. I like it, he was saying. I like it. I like the perspective from which you're seeing things. So don't see God as a person who's supposed to make things nice instead of not nice. Or, forget your language, instead of unpleasant, pleasant. Instead of negative, positive. That's not his job description. He's not our order supplier. Our position is to be his servant. And when you turn your attention to Krishna in the mood of, I just want to be your servant, it's just like a child to a parent. If the child is turning towards the parent with affection, what's the parent going to feel? That have many children. That child that's particularly affectionate, they'll show special affection to that child. Natural. Natural, it's not to be faulted. So you'll be like that with Krishna, and you'll get strength beyond your own strength. You get intelligence beyond your own intelligence. You get wisdom beyond your own wisdom. That's bhakti. And it's not like, okay, got it, thank you. I snap my fingers and now I'm a different person. It's a cultivation. Because we're habituated to this other. Whatever our brand of conditioning is. And troubles come our way. It's actually, it's an opportunity. Honestly. It's an opportunity. Maybe you can choose how you want to respond to those circumstances. Ability comes from Krishna. Intelligence comes from Krishna. It's fact, it's faith, but it's also fact. Say yes to Krishna, and you'll have strength beyond what you're feeling today or yesterday. Maybe tomorrow you'll feel more strength. Say yes to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada.